All right, thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. So let's open the meeting. We have a new council member, Ms. Lindsay Holmstrom, and we shall have Lindsay take the oath of office. Catherine, will you do that, or what?
Yes, thank you. We've got a whole rush of people coming in. Lindsay, you can come right up here. Okay. Very good. You want to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, your name,
Lindsay Holmstrom,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and of the state of Maine,
and of the state of Maine,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the town of Pittsfield,
and ordinances of the town of Pittsfield,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of
Town Councilor at Large,
term through 12/31/2022,
term through 12/31/2022,
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and laws of the state.
and laws of the state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. So we'll have you sign this.
Okay.
And we'll be all legal.
Right.
And if you'd like a copy, I can make one.
Great.
Suitable for framings.
You're all set. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, let me be the first. Welcome you aboard, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. We are now at our full fighting strength. This is exciting. Fantastic. So let's move along to number 2, adoption of minutes of the regular meeting on April 19th, 2022. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt the regular meeting minutes held on April 19th, 2022.
Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Thank you, Craig. Any questions or comments, councilors? Any corrections that you noted? Very well. Since none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of adopting the minutes of the regular meeting held on April 19th, 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The regular meeting minutes have been adopted. Let's move on to number 3, please. Presentations, congratulations, introductions. Catherine, if you could give us a Reader's Digest version, please.
Yes, thank you. You
Thank
will
you.
receive that Reader's Digest version, community and economic development activities and events. I wanted to note that on all of these projects, they will all be discussed with the exception of the airport grant at a meeting with the Maine Department of Transportation tomorrow, in which we talk about the Village Partnership Program. And so we'll be going through all the funding sources, all of the different grants that we have, the foundation funding, and the other funding that goes into this project. The airport grants are all being reviewed. We have multiple grants that are available, and we have a project that is ongoing to make sure that those airport grants work. Thank you very much.
All set?
Yes, I am.
All right,
Reader's
thank you,
Digest.
Catherine. Wow, that is amazing. That's good. Thank you very much. Number 4, public hearings. There are none. We will move on to number 5, reports. Council committees. Finance committee report.
We haven't met yet.
Very well. Thank you. Ordinance committee.
Haven't met.
Very well. Right. Recycling committee.
They have not met.
Very well. Thank you all very much. We shall move on to board committee updates. Town council. Do we have any of those, Catherine?
We do not at this point. I believe we will have a couple shortly for the next meeting.
Very well. Let's move on to the town manager's report then, please, Catherine.
Yes, very good. And I will try to read Reader's Digest version for this too. So basically, the councilors received via their email account the town manager's report. A few of you requested the written copy, which is fine. And we have a copy out on the table in case anyone is interested. This will then go on the website. So basically, I wanted to let you know that the computer system upgrade is continuing. This is a massive project in which all of the computers were all upgraded to brand new programs, everything except for the TRIO program, which we are in the process of loading. Because Many of the printers that are utilized by the town for the state permitting and licenses are required to be very old computers, some of which date back into the 1980s. These printers do not like the new computers. This is a problem that many towns are having. And so we're in the midst of the upgrade. It is taking some time. We have to make sure we check that every entry goes through. So there's an extra reconciliation process that we're going through. We usually do not have an issue getting the registrations through. It just takes a little bit more time. The process was slowed down when the training that we received on the 22nd was not really satisfactory, and we were told that we would get a disc so that we could provide that to each employee who was utilizing the TRIO program so they could practice for a week until we did the upgrade. We did not get that ability until the day of the upgrade, so it was canceled basically. So we've got a couple more weeks to get through, and then we will have the new web-based version of TRIO. Several towns have told us that there are still issues with the TRIO financial software, but there are only 3 softwares that are certified by the state of Maine for use with all of their programs, and so this is one of them for municipal software. But we did need to upgrade until we have done that. And we have the last step coming up, so we're just being very careful on the work that we're doing, double checking everything a little bit more than usual. So I did want to update you on that. And then the next items, which are important reminders, the online bar permits, the transfer station stickers, the dog licenses, registrations, all the online services, the online council materials, and emphasizing the reuse center will not be read. These are put out each meeting because we have so many different people going onto the website. The IP addresses are changed all the time. So we know that people, as they move in, because of our little boom here that we're having, in which people are moving in and out very quickly, and they've got a lot of permits for houses, so that's wonderful, and trailers. So people will look at the online and all of the town managers' reports, the council packages and everything, and then sometimes not come back till, 2 or 3 times after that, if they do come back. New items, which are very important, is number 7, request for proposals for the 2022 paving plan. So we did receive 6 bids for the paving projects. We were fortunate in which we did get a couple that were under the $1 million that we have for paving. We have $70,000 for the bridge culvert work. So basically we have $1,070,000 that will close at the end of May, and we actually have the paperwork for the mayor to sign this evening. So the bids are a low of $868,007 to a high of $1.385 million. There are some issues with some of the bids, and so we have to be very careful. We are putting them all onto a spreadsheet, reviewing all of them, and we'll call the companies to make sure that everybody bid properly on items. This is a large spread, but in the past bids we've had large spreads too. So we just want to make sure that we choose a bid that will be what we want, because likely we will not be paving for a while based upon the economy and the road debt service going up so much. Another new item is the Maine Municipal Bond Bank closing took place. This was a large loan, so we did have to go through the bond bank rather than try to go through the local commercial banks. The interest rate runs from 2.42 the first year up to 3.26. So this is one of the higher interest rates that we've had in the last few years. Many years ago, or at least 7 or 8 years ago, the interest rate was quite high. So this is good compared to that. The last 2 CIP loans were 2.54 for the 2019 CIP and 2.51. So this one comes out in the average between 2.42 to 3.26. You can divide it in half and get the percentage. So the interest rate is still good because we are tax exempt, but interest rates are going up in the economy for everyone. A reminder for current and upcoming activities. We do have the Spirit of America County presentation that will take place on May 4th, which is tomorrow, beginning at 3 p.m. That will be for the 2020 and 2021 awards. 2020 was Paul E. Bertrand. 2021 was in the memory of Alton Chincat. I got thank yous from all of them. Charlie Chincat contacted us, thanking us for letting him know about the ceremony. He was very touched. And so this is taking place now because of the pandemic. Usually the county would have everybody together in the county courthouse. There would be hundreds of people there, and then you would all be called down. It would be hard to get down there because everybody was so close together because there's so many people were there on the benches and everything. But this one will be a Zoom meeting in which the recipients' names will be called out, and then there'll be a brief description of their volunteer work. So not as good as the real thing, but at least better than not having a ceremony. Number 11 is the special election for town council results, and obviously Lindsay Holmstrom won with 120 votes and was sworn in this evening. Heather Donahue had 72 votes and is here this evening. Number 12, also very important, is the Somerset County dispatch software upgrade. When we found out that the county wanted the towns to pay for part of the upgrade at the county for dispatching and the services there. Fairfield, Pittsfield, and Skowhegan are affected. There will be a meeting that will be held with the towns and Somerset County with a proposed vendor that has been selected called Central Square. We have Central Square now, but for a lot less price than this for licensing. A new option is proposed so that the dispatching and all of the services for the county will be better recorded. There'll be a lot more services. So the acting police chief and I already had a meeting that took place back with the EMA director, the sheriff, and the Skowhegan police chief came over. But it's still not clear to us on a few points. So we thought we would wait until the meeting took place and then do a report for you. And there will be a Zoom option, so I'll provide that to you if anyone would be interested in watching. That meeting will take place on Tuesday, May 10th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It will be in the County Commissioner's office in Skowhegan, so people can go in person, and then there's a Zoom option for those that cannot attend in person. The price, which we were quoted of $100,000 for each town, has been lowered for the town of Pittsfield to $87,904, which is comprised of the licenses, and certainly I can understand why we pay for all licenses. They would be up from about $5,000 to $16,298. The support is $4,955, and then services to the vendor to move over and set up the entire system for the town of Pittsfield is quoted at $66,651. And of course, we were surprised by this because it did not come up during the budget process. So that was explained several times to the county, and they did agree that if we went forward with this project instead of going out on our own or went with some other towns, that we would have until mid-2024 to pay our share so that we could budget for it in the 2023 and 2024 budgets. Because again, we didn't know about it to budget for in the 2020 budget. The project has been going on, I think, since September, and then we found out in January. So if anyone would like to attend, I can provide that background information to you.
If you could provide that information. I'm kind of disappointed that having it during the middle of a work day, because they were supposed to be here explaining to us. We still haven't had the discussion of whether we were going to budget this thing. So
Yeah,
I'm very concerned about their stance on this, that they already have the bill made up and going to be mailed to us. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the bill's been made up for a while. I do think that they will come up and meet with us separately too, but maybe we'll go to this meeting, some of us will, or Zoom in, and then hear more about it, and then understand more, and then I think they would come out and meet with the council.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that they should, because they plan on doing it first, because we don't understand these costs. Thank you.
We'll get the acting police chief and the police chief, if he's back, we'll get more information, and then we'll see about a meeting with the town council. We have the 13th, the district public hearing coming up on May 19th on the school budget. And as you saw, we have an updated budget assessment, which is a little bit less than the town of Pittsfield. So that is very good. And then let's skip forward here. We have the speed trailer number 16 has arrived and has been very exciting. It started out up by the interstate on Somerset Avenue. It's now moved down by Hawthorne Park, Heartland Avenue, and Central Street. Also a speeding area. One would not think so, but it is. So the speed trailer is there. Hopefully we'll get the point across to some people that they should be going slower as they get into the center of town and a large intersection like that and places where people are trying to cross the road. It will then head out for the weekend, probably on Friday, to Peltoma Avenue because speeding down Peltoma to the transfer station is interesting, and the speeding that happens on the way back. The police can sit down there and not have anyone speed, but as soon as they leave, the speeding takes place. So the speed trailer will head down to Peltoma Avenue, make sure it's there for dump day. Dump days, the most popular ones, and then it will head up to Heartland Avenue. It may go to some other locations depending on how well it works at those locations. We noticed when it was on Somerset Avenue, up by the hill, that after a while, people had gone by it 3, 4, 5 times, so then they weren't paying any attention to it. So we moved it, and then we'll keep moving it around. It could go to other locations too. The town also has a speed sign that will flash stating the speed limit, which we want to put on Peltoma Avenue. We need permission from the Maine DOT, so we're waiting for that. That showed up about the same time, a little bit before the speed trailer signed up. And then we're still got a grant going for our own speed trailer, so we'll see what happens with that. There's been some manufacturing issues with getting the parts in for different items, so these took a while to get here. We had some work done at the airport for warranty work, which RA Paradise on the number 18 took care of those items, which was good. There were some potholes out there, and there were some drainage areas that were issues. The last item that I'll mention is number 19, grant paperwork filings. We have many grants. And so the filings are all due between April 30th and June 30th. We have done all the filings that are required to date except for the American Resource Recovery Rescue Plan Act. We tried to do the filing, got bounced out. I understand we're one of over 5,000 entities that got bounced out, so we have a claim number. And because our claim number was submitted prior to the due date for the paperwork, we're all set. And eventually they'll get to all of us. There's an extra process in which you have to be approved to be the administrator, even though you were set up as the administrator and set up your account and actually got the money. And now we're going to be approved to be the administrator under the big federal grant program, a big website. So we'll finish that one once we have the help desk call us. And then you've got some information that's attached for number 20, which is also on the agenda, which is your Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund infrastructure projects. You've got some annualization charts in case you're interested in approving one of those projects. All of the folks in the town work on them to make the annualization charts look better than the ones you get off the Maine Municipal Bond Bank. So those are on pages 26 to the end. And so we did 2 options for each of the loans that we were approved for, and that refers back to the agenda to kind of cut down your amount of paperwork and to cut down the pieces of paper that you get that is separate from the town manager's report in the council package. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kathleen.
Hey, can I ask a quick question?
Yes,
The time to
sure.
ask if you have a question about the manager's
Yep.
report. Catherine, you had mentioned the paving, but at the end you said that we won't have to be worrying about doing any of that paving for quite some time. What did you mean by that? You kind of mentioned it. I don't know if anyone else caught that.
Yeah.
You said we're going to get the bids, but because of the interest rates and whatever, we probably won't have to worry about doing anything for a long time. Does that mean that?
For the future, it may be difficult to do a loan next year. We have a loan from 2019, a loan from 2020. We skipped 2021 because the council voted not to have a loan or said they were not going to have one. We now have the interest rate going up and have borrowed more money. which will be $1,070,000. The interest rate is getting higher, and it may be that the council will decide to skip a year. That will be up to the council at the time we go through the budget process. Hopefully not, but by the way the interest rates and the paving costs are going up, we may have an issue, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. Let's move on to number 7, new business, ordinance 22-05. Please, Catherine.
Yes, thank you. Ordinance 22-05 set the public hearing on May 17, 2022. The town of Pittsfield hereby ordains to accept all tax year payments of Robert S. and Susan M. Delsmider, including interest and lien costs for the property at Johnson Flat Road, map 1, lot 8. The town having acquired such property as a result of automatic foreclosure of a 2019 property tax lien recorded in the Somerset Registry of Deeds on July 21st, 2020, at book 5575, page 88, which returned on January 21st, 2022. The town council further authorized the town manager to execute a municipal quitclaim deed releasing the town's interest in said property to Robert S. and Susan M. Delsmider.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion we adopt ordinance 22-05.
Second. All right, moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Catherine, could you give us the details on it? Is there any background you want to provide for that?
Yes, basically I'll be very brief. This is one of the several foreclosures that took place for the 2019 taxes. The Delsmiders did not get their registered letters, even though we sent them to a variety of locations and sent other letters to a variety of locations over the period of time. There was also another party involved with this. They came in because they saw the tax lien was listed, which was good, as we had made phone calls too. There was an issue with the mailing address between the two post offices in which they were switched to the Clinton post office for some items, and so their letters were brought back to the town. But as noted in the process, we have to keep trying to contact them, which we did. You do not have to have a signed green slip for your tax lien process. You merely have to have tried to get one. You have to have tried to contact them, as we did all of the individuals whose property foreclosed, one of which was the Delsmiders. So they paid up their taxes, interest, and costs for the property. And because we were past April 1st, we had to collect the taxes for 2022, so we did an estimate for that. And if it is over that amount, it'll just be credited to their account. We try to make sure we cover it. And so they will need a quitclaim deed, and then they will own their property again.
So do we have a current and accurate address for them now?
We do, yes.
Okay.
They have to use this Clinton address.
Okay.
They're having it.
That's fine, as long as
There's some sort of issue.
as long as this doesn't come back.
Correct.
If it does, we know how to find it.
Yeah, he says he's all set.
Okay, very good. Council, any questions or comments on this?
In order to foreclose on a property, don't you have to not pay for like 3 years? How many years is it before you foreclose?
All right, so these are 2019s.
Right.
So we have 2019, 2020, 2021, and then because we're past April 1st, we have the 2022 taxes. So what happens is that within a year of the taxes being issued, so these would have been issued in 2019 in July or August. So within a year, you then put on the tax claim if the person has not paid the taxes. And then you have a year and a half for the taxes to be paid. And then it matures automatically at the registry. You send out the foreclosure notices, and again, you have to try to contact them. If they are not contacted or they do not sign the slips, we have to show that we did make an effort, which we did. Usually we call all these people, look them up on the white pages, and they go a lot of phone calls too.
And they have to pay back the taxes with interest that we would have lost, right?
Yes, there'll be interest that's generated in the account. There's also cost because of the certified mailings that take place.
So presently, does the town actually own that property right now?
On paper, we do. We have not taken possession of the properties. We don't take possession. We try to make sure that they can buy their property back and redeem it if they want to.
Is someone living at the property?
Pardon?
Is someone living at the property?
This is just a piece of land.
Oh, it's just land. Okay.
Sometimes they are, it's rare, but we have a couple that are living at the properties now. We haven't had that for a few years.
Anything else, council? Very well. Let's vote all those in favor of setting ordinance 22-05 to public hearing on May 17th, 2022. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Passes. We shall move that to public hearing. Let's move on to resolution 22-40, please, Catherine.
Resolution 22-40, resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, to accept a quotation from blank of blank for SCBA cylinders and assorted gear to not exceed blank, with blank to be paid for from the American Rescue Plan Act funds.
I look for a motion from council, please.
I'll make a motion that we open for discussion resolution 22-40.
I'll second it.
Very well. So we have resolution 22-40 open for discussion. I'm glad you had put it that way because it's not clear to me what's what here. And are these the same numbers that we were talking about several months ago? Bernard, you're on board here, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Would you mind giving us the Reader's Digest version of what we're looking at? Do you have this paperwork in front of you, sir?
I do.
Okay, so could you run us through what your recommendation is and how that's comparing to what was presented prior? Please.
The original bids that we got just as someplace to start were higher than this. As if you work in it, you know that you never bid low because you kind of go up. But when we looked at two major brands because they're basically there are 3 or 4 different companies out here. There are a couple of them that are less expensive. However, they have no repair facilities anywhere close to here. And every time something breaks, you got to mail it to them and get it mailed back. These are the 2 major brands. Both have repair facilities here in the state of Maine. We looked at Scott, which is a 3M company, and then we looked at MSA, and I don't remember who their parent company is now. We looked at them in person. As you can see, Scott came in with a much lower bid because from the time we started talking until they actually put the final figures in, MSA had an 8% increase in their costs. Kind of took them out of the picture.
So what we have in the documentation now, Bernard, I'm looking at Fire Tech and Safety New England, which is the Scott at $148,000, and then we have, let me scroll down here, we have Northeast Emergency Apparatus, which is 3M for a total of $165,379. Those are comparing apples to apples.
Do you have the sheet where the little spreadsheet that I made for them? Do you have a copy of that in front of you?
I do, I believe. Let me scroll through here.
Yeah, they have your submittal.
Just before this.
Okay.
Yep.
So the big difference, one of the big differences between the MSA and the Scott is MSA now runs on a lithium battery that you have to buy from them. That's the only place to get it. And the difference, basically the difference in price is the difference between those batteries and the charger, and us using just off-the-shelf industrial batteries for Scott.
All right. So essentially, we're looking at comparable units.
They're they had put the cameras on theirs, which I took off to get the final price. Because at $1,000 a clip, we can do something better than that.
Okay, so the two quotes we're looking at are 148 and 165, 379.
Can you break down the quantity? Like, is this apples to apples quantity wise too?
It isn't for quantity.
But it looks like it.
There's 5 more.
Is it actually on the bid?
Brian,
The MSA, there's 15 Scots.
Brian, did you hear that? We're showing 15 Scott packs.
No, you're not. You're showing 20 stock packs. You're showing 15, and then you're showing 5 packs that are coming with spare harnesses. And the reason for that is that so you get into a fire and you get your harnesses contaminated, you can swap the harnesses out without having to take them out of service. That's how Scott does it. They send you an extra set of harnesses.
So this is really 20
You still get
shots.
20. You still get 20 packs, 40 bottles, 24 masks. And the MSA includes a rig pack, which the Scott, the MSA does not include that.
Okay.
All right.
So as far as the packs themselves, they're comparable. They meet all the OSHA standards and NIOSH and
Okay.
FDA and everybody else that's got their fingers in it. And they're the same number of packs. It's just in Scott they do their packs a little bit different, where they give you they send you the spare harnesses.
Right. So what do we have? What was the number we had to be paid for from the ARPA funds?
Yes, we had noted from the ARPA funds that we would use $148,317. That's because we had some funding that was available and carried forward.
So part of that, gentlemen and ladies, is with 148,317 to be paid for from the American Rescue Plan Act funds. That's. I don't have that paper in front of me from the last meeting that we discussed that for the amount. But that was what the final resolution was on that, Catherine. Correct?
Yes, SCBA was approved up to $148,317.
Right. That's the amount coming out of the ARPA fund.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. What was the total approval amount? Was that 180? So 180 that we had. 180,000 total, right?
Yes, when we started out, it was $180,000.
So there's, what's that, 32,000 and
So-
change that's going to be applied to this before we affect the ARPA funds, correct?
So he has $19,000 that's available in carry forward funds. So if you wanted to lower the amount that comes from the American Rescue funding, you could lower it by $19,000.
Okay, now hold on. You're going to have to clarify that first, because we had agreed upon a number last time. There were several
And you
discussions.
can use that number if you wish to do so.
Well, what do you mean we can use that number? We agreed that was the number we were going to use. This shouldn't be a discussion. We just need to have this number to put in here.
Yeah, the amount that
The
you,
agreement was that if we needed the money that was carried forward to make it the difference up, we'd use that.
yes.
If we needed it, we'd use that first.
Is anyone else confused except me?
No, I didn't remember it that way.
Yeah, well, I'm having trouble remembering that way too.
I remembered it that the carryover was going to be applied first and ARPA was going to make up the difference. Because the ARPA funds have greater reach than the carryover funds that were in that, set aside for that account, and that's why we were doing it that way. We were rolling them. That's the way I remember it anyway.
Yeah, you can use the ARPA funds across the board.
They're a wide
It
spread.
doesn't matter if it's the police department, fire department,
Do
whatever.
we have that information, Catherine? It was 2 or 3 meetings ago, I believe.
Yeah, yes, I have the whole write-up. However, I'm going to have to look for the chart, which I'm looking for right now. And I had the chart at one time.
should have had this a little bit better prepared to have this discussion.
Yeah, SCBA was estimated at $161,317. He started out with $180,000. The figure went down at a past meeting to $161,317. He has carried forward funds of a total of $19,000, but $13,000 is toward the SCBA tax. So between 2 budget years, he had collected $13,000 carry forward funds for the SCBA. So if you're going to stick with, that's how you got to the $148,317, which was the ARPA funds. If you wish to use the carry forward first, you would subtract $13,000 from the figure.
Depending on which one is selected, which vendor, right?
Yes,
So if you
yes.
go with the cheaper one, take away $13,000, that's the cost
Yes.
coming out of it.
So we're actually, we'd be looking at 148 less than 13.
Yes. And as you said, ARPA is more far-reaching. You do have carry forward of $13,000 that was for the SCBA tax.
Right.
And the
if we-
pricing is actually coming better each time he works on it.
Okay, so let's do for instance here, 148,000 if we go with the low one, which we likely would. So it would be quotation from XYZ of such and such for our cylinders, assorted gear, not to exceed 100. No, actually, the 135,000 with X amount to be paid for from the ARPA funds. What would that amount be
All right.
in this scenario?
So I'm going to go,
135,000.
yeah, I've got $135,317.
So it would be the balance after that 13,000 from the carry forward.
Yes.
Okay, that would have been a lot easier to discuss if that homework had been done ahead of time.
I have a quick question for Bernard. You said that the support and maintenance is the same for both companies.
Yeah, one of them is in Winthrop and the other one is in Lewiston.
Okay.
They both have certified technicians to repair any problems. One would hope that with new patches you don't have any problems for months.
And you're good with either one of these two companies, Bernard?
I am good with either one. I have a preference, but I'll stay out of it because I don't wear one much anymore. And most of the people on the department would prefer the cheaper one.
Okay. Thank you.
So basically, when this started out, there were 2 particular companies, and the fire department was rather divided on which one to utilize. And so now the fire department has voted on this and agreed that the lower priced one is the one that they wanted, which then allows us to know which one it is, and then we can subtract the money out.
And that's because several of the companies, the departments that we usually with have stocks, although they're older versions. As far as wearing it, there's no big difference one way or the other. They weigh about the same, they operate the same. Of course, they've got some different. This guy's got a whistle he named better than the other guys, but you know they both will do the job, and they both reputable units that have been around a long time.
Okay.
There's a couple, 3 other ones out there that not so much.
All right, and you're now comfortable with this?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Very good. So, Council, do we understand what we're looking at here? If we do go with the low bid, based on the ARPA funds and the 13,000 carry forward, we would have Fire Tech and Safety as the company, Fire Tech and Safety New England Incorporated, actually, of Winthrop, Maine, for a total of $135,000, with $135,000 to be paid for from the American Rescue Plan Act funds.
It would be a total of 148, right?
148.
With
That's the
130.
not to exceed.
Oh, okay, right, yep. 148, roger that.
With 135 coming from Martha.
With 135, yep.
Yes, I would have subtracted that out, but at the time it was submitted, I don't believe they had voted.
Yep. All right, any questions on that? We'll ask for a revised motion.
So that I'll revise the motion to adopt resolution 22-40 with the accepted quotation from Fire Tech and Safety of New England, Winthrop for SCBA cylinders and assorted gear not to exceed $148,000, with $135,000 to be paid from the American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Perfect.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Do we have discussions on this? Audience?
Catherine, I have a question about the carryover funds. Does there also need to be a matching resolution to appropriate and spend those, or is that just within the budgeting?
It's within the budgeting because it was carried forward, and so those funds will be fine because they are designated for this specific project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
Lindsay?
Is there a time that these need to be purchased by for those funds to be able to be utilized? Is there a deadline for that?
Yes, if you want to keep this price, it's got to be done in the next 2 days. I think there's a price increase on the 7th.
Okay.
Yeah, we would do a purchase order tomorrow to keep the price, and then the American Rescue Funds, the remaining funds, don't have to be spent till 2024. They'll likely will spend them prior.
So just for information, Bernard, the prices for the higher units are July 15th, but I don't see it for the Scots. Is that on the quote there, or is it a verbal that they told you?
Well, that's a verbal that, they got a price increase coming, and I think it's going to be the 5th or 6th.
Okay. That kind of information going. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Scott has told them that there will be within the first few days of May a price increase, probably comparable to MSH. So.
Okay. Very well. Thank you, Bernard. That kind of information moving forward. If we have more coming along, that would be pertinent to these bids and proposals and date with which we need to work. Okay. All right. Anything else, Council? Very well. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of Resolution 22-40 as modified, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-40 passes as modified. Thank you all very much. Catherine, let's move on to Resolution 22-41, please.
Resolution 22-41, resolved that the Town Council authorize the Town Manager to execute the sidebar agreement to the Police Collective Bargaining Agreement expiring December 31st, 2022 for a signing bonus to recruit an officer for a vacancy.
I'll look for a motion from the Council, please.
Make a motion we adopt resolution 22-41.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Any discussions or questions, comments, Council?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is there a reason why we are putting a timeline on the expiration of the signing bonus? Is that not something that we would consider doing moving forward? Or are we just going to reassess at the end of every calendar year?
I think would have to be assessed periodically, because that's $15,000 is kind of a hard number to keep open-ended.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking if the vacancies are still there, like if the positions aren't filled, would we want to keep rediscussing it or leave it? Is that?
Yeah, it's a good point. We had to put in the date of the agreement. The overall collective bargaining agreement expires December 31st, 22, so we have to acknowledge that. The sidebar agreement that goes to the police collective bargaining agreement will have a deadline in it because the police union has requested it not be open-ended, but it will be enough time to fill that vacancy. They have requested that it be one vacancy, and then if there's another one, we go back and get another signing bonus if we wish to do so, and likely we will. And we can have the paperwork all prepared to try to move this forward as fast as possible.
When do we think we'll have a discussion or meeting on that, Catherine? We have one coming up in the near future that we'll have to meet on.
All right, if you're agreeable with the paperwork which was given to the committee, that will go to the town attorney. who will give it to the police union. This is their process that they request.
It will essentially be the same as before.
It'll be the
with
same as before.
Same bonus.
Yes, same amount, which is, I can say it because currently it's 15,000. So we can say that because we have one now. And then if there are additional rules to be set on the usage of the funds, the Police Labor Negotiations Committee, which is comprised of right now the mayor, deputy mayor, and myself, can set those requirements.
Because there was one thing that we wanted to discuss. Actually, I wanted clarification first, so I'm not aware of it. When this was done previously, was that a one lump sum payment at employment? How was that dispersed to the officers?
The second one, we had not planned it to be, but it did end up being that the first time. The second time, there were requirements set. Specific requirements.
The public requirements. Well, we can talk about that because we want to make sure that
Yeah.
we have time under the belt. It's not
Correct.
going to be a one-time thing.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
No, agreeable, and the union's agreeable with that, too.
All right, very well. Anything else, council? Very well, here are none, since we have the vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-41, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, resolution 22-41 passes. Catherine, resolution 2242, please.
Resolution 22-42, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to expend and transfer the balance of funds remaining in pit number 57, computer capital reserve, known as G1-660-00, being $11,838.01 as of March 31st, 2022, to place toward the cost of the town office's computer system upgrade as allocated at the December 21st, 2021 meeting.
Very well, look for a motion from council, please.
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 22-42.
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you. So this is, before into discussion, they have been allocated for this from a vote from last year during the council meeting.
The only reason why this is on the agenda is any money that goes into a reserve account, and this went into a reserve account because it wasn't spent at the end of 2021. If the monies go into a reserve account, the municipal officers have to approve it being transferred out back to the budget. It's a state law.
And which has been done here numerous times.
Yes.
Any questions or comments, council? Any audience? Very well. Here are none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 22-42, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-42 passes. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 22-43, please.
Resolution 22-43, resolved that the town council determine the project to move forward for clean water state revolving loan financing and authorize the town manager to execute the applicant intent to apply for 2022 Clean Water State Revolving Fund CWSRF loan infrastructure construction projects.
Thank you, Catherine. I'll look for a motion from council, please.
Move we adopt resolution 22-43.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, Brent. Catherine, could you give us a quick details on that, please?
Yes.
If there's anything that needs to be filled in
Yes,
for
thank you.
discussion.
So this will be a discussion to determine if any of the projects that we qualify for the clean water, which is sewer remediation, will be approved to go forward for the loan through the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, their clean water state revolving loan fund, which is a 1% interest rate. So normally the town's projects will get approved, but they'll be down on the list because our sewer rates are very low compared to the average, and we don't have contamination, a very good thing. So we've submitted 3 projects which are problematic areas in the town. Birchwood Terrace, as we know, has a water problem. We have bands on the water line. There's been multiple breaks since last December. It was surprising how many breaks there have been. And so there's been significant issues there. And you can tell that the water system has reached, at least the line to the type of material that they were built in back in the 60s has reached its end here. The type of material that apparently doesn't last long. And then if we're going to do work to the water line, which has had problems, the sewer line was reviewed for the cleaning and the video cameraing. The company was able to get down through most of the line, but some of it has a problem. And when Oliver Associates looked at the videotapes, they indicated this is in very poor condition. And often if the water and sewer are put in at the same time, if the water is not good, the sewer is not good either, which is the case in this particular area. And as you know, the road is not in good shape too. So hopefully this will be a project that will move forward. It's one of the priorities of the town council, the first priority. We also had the project on Library Street, which had been placed in the capital plan because there will likely be some changes at the MCI campus, and that may mean traffic, more traffic on Library Street. Library Street is a congested area of all of the materials and lines that are under the road, including electric lines. There's quite a bit up there, and it needs rehabilitation. The last project was the Honeywell Avenue Sewer Remediation Project, and this is an issue because of the type of line that is on Honeywell Avenue, and it's a very narrow line, so it has some issues. Now, obviously, we didn't expect to get approved for all three projects. So we thought if we got approved for one, that would be good. So we still have to make loan payments on these. We had built in one loan payment for the project, a new loan for sewer, and a new loan for water, but that was it. And so Birchwood Terrace, if you've got some water funds now to design that, which was given to the town as a 0% interest and zero funding if we don't go through with the project, but if we go through with the project, then it has to be rolled into the loan, which hopefully would be at 1% too, but there's no guarantee. 1% is what's being used now. So you're working on the water system, so you would have to fix the sewer system too, because they're very close together, and only if you're going to dig up the road for one, you would dig up the road for the other. So looking at your debt service for your sewer, we have built in $35,872, at least for this year. There would be a partial payment that would be due this year, which would likely be interest at the end of the year. It would not be a full loan payment. So we do have funding in the budget for the sewer project. So if you look at the end of the town manager's report, you will see some of the amortization charts, and you can determine if you're interested in a project or not. I think you would be interested in one, simply because it's hard to get these, and the only reason why I think that we qualify is because there's extra money now through ARPA and some of the other opportunities. So we ran the amortization charts for 10 and 20 years, and we can run them for other years. But for 10 years, the payments are quite high. We would be all set for the first one because that's the interest, $21,557, which is on page 26. But after that, we would need a payment of $161,941, which is a lot of money. The interest rate is 1%, so often if you get a 1%, you will have your debt service go out for the length that is allowed, which is 20 years for the main municipal bond bank for this particular program. So if it's 20 years, and we turn over to page 27, you'll see the first year is $21,557.10, which is affordable because we do have the money for the budget for a little bit more. But you will be absorbing into your sewer budget a debt service payment of approximately $85,032. So we have to remember that we're gonna have to increase debt service in future years and try to maintain the same sewer rate.
Does paving get included in that cost?
So
So
trench paving,
trench paving?
Yes.
So it's water and sewer, that
Yeah.
cost we know, but then you said the roads are gonna
then
also
we're
be
gonna have
affected.
roads. I would assume we want to rebuild the road or at least reclaim it.
Is that in our paving plan for 22 to 24 already?
It can be, but the fact that we even got these was somewhat of a miracle that come through so quickly. Usually it takes like 3 years to do your projects, your water, sewer, and your road. So it could be. We didn't put that out to bid, but we could save some money out and put it toward that, or we could pave it the next year.
Seems like if you go forward, it seems like an opportunity to go forward and fix something that could cost us a lot of money down the road, but at the same time, it's gonna cost, we might have to ship something to make it seem
Yeah.
cost effective,
Exactly.
otherwise you're gonna be,
Yeah, very good, exactly.
All right, so with the three projects we're looking at, Birchwood Terrace, we're at 1.5 million, 1,518,000. Honeywell Avenue, we have 970,000. Library Street, we have 928,000. I know we had talked ad nauseum about Birchwood Terrace and the issues there, hence the reason why that's a higher amount. So I guess what we should probably discuss first is which project of the three that we want to concentrate on to start. And when we come to agreement on that, then we can decide whether we'll make it a 20-year debt service.
So I went over one project, that I can go through the others later on if you want.
So that, yeah.
So we look for proposals on which project we want to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're looking at those three, if you're looking at traffic, and you're looking at the future of MCI's campus and things they might do in the future, Library Street is probably going to see the most influx of traffic out of all three of those roads. So if we were going to focus on one, and I'm not saying that would be my vote, I'm just saying logically it seems like that would be the one you want to look at first. If MCI decides to do something different with their campus arrangement.
are you talking about potentially closing a road on campus that makes it so traffic would increase through that way? So you have two other streets there too, Manson and is it Libby? That gets you back into the back road there behind, are you talking about the back side of Library or the side from Main Street around? Like, is it the whole thing that we would have to do? I'm not sure which areas, I mean, I walk it all the time, it's all bad, but I mean, which
Yeah.
area is the worst? But if you look at the Birchwood Terrace project, with it, you have to consider that you have bad water and sewer and pit, like, it just seems like that's like a 3-in-1, and this is a road that's bad, but you have multiple options to move through there. I don't know.
That's a valid point. And,
But if you're going to base it on traffic, Honeywell's the most traffic. If that's how you want to do it, but, I mean, is it off the table that you don't do all three?
If we did do all three, we'd be looking at a sewer rate increase.
But how low are we comparatively to regional? You said we're like really low. What's our percent?
We are very low. Now, the citizens of town think that we're high.
well, the citizens of the town are going to say that, as I did when I lived in town, because we get used to that. We also went 15 years with no price, no
Yeah.
tax increase, and when we did, they screamed bloody murder.
Yep,
Well,
1977.
We just had a sewer increase.
Yeah, but you had 12 or 10 or 12 years of no increase. So, yeah, you're going to get an increase, but it's not going to be 47% increase. That's the painful part. I'd rather pay 5% every year for the next 10 years of a little bit of an increase that I can budget for versus, oh, let's not touch anything so everybody's happy for 10 years. And then after that, stick it to them with 50% increase. That's not.
The only other problem
That's
I
not a
see
good
with
option.
The only problem I see with that also though is, as a person that travels a street that has trench paving down the middle of it every day,
Yeah.
it is
What's
a
that do?
disaster. and it really wrecks the road, no matter how well it's done.
Right.
So if we're gonna be 3 to 5 years before we look at like what, we'd have to look at the like repaving cost of each of those. Library, I know was in our budget, that was a budgeted amount that we could have affected that street for paving this year. Honeywell,
Yeah.
virtually, we weren't even
Honeywell's a
close.
state road, right?
Yes.
Is
So
it?
that's gonna be an increased cost, I imagine, because you gotta do all the,
But you also gotta look at, isn't Birchwood the places that have the most damage?
With the water issue, I'm just saying, if
Yeah,
you
that
already
was
have to
just
fix
the
a water issue and you're gonna have the road
Yeah.
torn up, it almost seems like if
Yeah.
it's in question, you would sneak it over there and make
Well,
it.
Birchwood Terrace is 2/3 going with the other two, because it's not only the sewer, but it's the water also.
Right. I mean, Birchwood is the place where we keep having blowouts.
right,
So keep going
which
there.
is costing us a
So it's
lot
gonna-
too.
If it's blowing out now, it's gonna keep going and going and going.
Right, yeah, you got, yeah, good.
Library Street, they had no blowouts.
What's the electrical issue you said at Library Street? Does that
There's
have to do
some
with,
electric lines underneath the road. There's a lot underneath that road.
so
It's
is there,
complex.
is that impact, like, well, how would that impact?
It will impact the cost of reconstruction.
Because you'll have to deal with the
I
electrical.
could deal with quite a few things under there. The sewer line on Library Street is not viewed as being a problem. It is of older materials and a type that has a lifespan according to all of our associates, but there are no known problems there from the review that took place. So they're all good projects. We didn't think we would have this issue, this opportunity to do all three. We are.
I wouldn't call it an opportunity, I would call it just,
If we did all three,
Well, it
just
is.
back to Jason's point, if we did all three, is this something that needs to be voted on now? Could we look at this like in a different way, like look at what would be the % increase to the sewer? Well, how would the project be, how would the town be impacted by trying to proceed with all three?
So these were just received, and we have been given the due date of May 6th to respond. This is the way that it operates because they've gotten so much money in.
Right.
Well, when you say a sewer increase, do you have any idea what
All right.
roughly
I can do
ballpark? I
a
don't
little
know.
calculation here.
I think to Brent's point, regardless, you gotta do Birchwood.
Birchwood, I think.
So that's just costing us
It's
more
not a
than it's
problem.
worth.
You
What if we
gotta
didn't
put
have the
some
opportunity?
project
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's Honeywell? Why was Honeywell on that list?
Because there's an issue with the size of the sewer. It's very congested, it's very small. It has an issue down at the end.
So it needs to be resized. Basically.
All right, I'm going to say that if we did these for 20 years, we'd have a better opportunity here. We pay more interest, but at 1%, the interest is not that much. I'm zipping through this here.
gonna be financing 3.4 million.
That's a big one. Oh, boy.
You just give us an approximate ballpark. 1%, 5%, 50%. Doesn't have to be the exact numbers, we kind of have an idea.
I'm going to say 12%.
12%.
That's for all three?
Yes, if we do them at 20 years, because that lowers.
Yeah, it's $3,416,000 for all three projects on a 20-year life for the debt service. That would be approximately 12% increase on the sewer rates. Heather?
Catherine, can you clarify, the prior increase last year, was that just a water rate increase and not a sewer rate increase? Because we were-
Correct.
Okay, so there was no sewer increase, it was just the water.
Yes, that was a water increase. The sewer rates were set in 1977 and were not increased. People just refused to increase those when I got here. There was no money for anything, even trying to pay for minor maintenance. So there was an increase approved in 2009, which was significant. And then we have still used that sewer rate increase today.
Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I would say all three projects on the 20-year, 12% is going to be a bump, but given the history that we've had with these sewer and water rates, they certainly have not been obtuse, and we're still well below the average in the state of Maine. I'm here because I pay the taxes too.
Can I just get a better understanding of Honeywell? I understand you say on one end is having some congestion issues on Honeywell. You said there was an issue with the sewer.
Yes, the line is not very wide. The diameter is not sufficient. The Chibro facilities are on there.
Okay.
So what kind of issues have they been experiencing there?
There have been some backups. There is a area at the end that has problems considerably, and it's the homes that are down there.
It's on the Detroit end is the issue?
Honeywell, it goes down, yeah, it's called, I'll call it that.
No, I'm saying on the Detroit end of the street.
Yes.
Catherine, I know you probably have a better feel for the magnitude of the impact of these sewer and water issues in these areas. From the perspective of the people, the homeowners, which area do you feel like you guys get the most kind of influx of complaints or volume of traffic issue from these three areas?
Oh, definitely, since last winter, Birchwood Terrace, what has happened is it's got to the point where we hardly had any issues there before, and then all of a sudden there's just one break after another. It was like the pressure was creating more breaks down the road.
Yeah.
When we fixed them, you would leave and come back, there'd be another break. There was significant, I think, between 7 to 9 breaks. And there were some, usually when you have this happen, there are laterals that are coming up from the homes. Those had issues too, which were separate from the town, but it's the same type of material. So that is the road that has had the significant issues. Library Street, to date, I hate to say anything, but has not had any issues at all. It is a road that does need work. It's not in good shape, and it may have more traffic. Honeywell Avenue, the Oliver Associates believes that's the one that should be fixed, simply because it's not up to industrial standards. It has industrial facilities along it, and it has the problem at the end.
So the thing that Oliver had done before he came on board, Lindsay, is they did quite a intensive and extensive inspection of all these lines. They came up with the types of materials on these lines, where they were. Some materials, of course, last longer than others, and Birchwood Terrace was beyond its life.
Yeah.
And you can see the results.
Right,
of that.
oh yeah. So I just have one clarifying question. This might be ignorance on my part, but for the sake of this project, you said it's rare to get 3 if you ever get 1, right? So it looks like in the letters that I'm reading in the packet, are there grant monies that would be offset this, or is this purely a loan?
This would be purely a loan for the town of Pittsfield. The grants and the forgiveness are offered to the communities with the higher rates.
Oh.
Because we're supposed to be taking care of our issues ourselves, and then if your rates are high, you get more points on your application. In addition, if there's contamination, you get more points. If we were in the drinking water program, if we had contamination or bad water or testing problems, you would get more points. Fortunately, we don't have these issues, so we don't get high points for our
So all the
application.
breakages and the issues at Birchwood don't qualify us for further grants or
we're not going to
remediation?
qualify for grants for this project. The reason why we've done well is because there's more money available.
Back to conclude. So we're saying if we increase our sewer rates by 12%, they will pay for these 3 loans.
As long as they're at 20 years and it's a 1% interest rate, which is what they're quoted to Annalise. Then again, you will have other things come up too. You know, this is just talking about these 3 projects.
And we hit the citizens with the 40%, some are 40% last year for increase.
That was for the water.
Right, but it's still,
Yeah,
still
it's
water.
still an impact.
Yes,
And
they
if
look
you're
at
hitting
it
them
as
12,
well.
you're hitting them 60% within 2 years.
What we would need to do regarding the water and the sewer, as we discussed, is every time it gets brought up at budget time, they can't say, well, we'll wait till next year, we'll wait till next year. We have to do an increase in a regular schedule, maybe not each year because of the cost of the study to meet the PUC requirements, but maybe every other year or every 3 years.
And the last time it's been, what, 2009, you said?
Yes,
13 years?
yes. And before that, it appears to be 1977.
So if the council is willing to consider, we can consider all three projects. Birchwood Terrace, 1.5, Honeywell Avenue, 970, Library Street, 928, for a total of $3,416,000. We know that the sewer would be based on a 20-year loan, and based on the 1% tentatively. And that would be 12%. Of course, these aren't hard numbers for the increase. 12% on the sewer rate for 20 years to cover the cost of that.
So,
Can I ask another question? Like,
Yes, sure.
Library Street, you said there are no reported issues.
there's been no reported issue.
So we're only doing this because we're doing the water at the same time? Why would we even consider Library Street if there's no reported issues?
The town council requested it be addressed because there's a good possibility that Maine Central Institute will change the traffic pattern, which would then send more traffic down across Library Street, which is quite bumpy.
I mean, that would affect the paving, but that's not going to affect the sewer.
What did Homer Associates see on that? Did they note underground issues and problems that have not surfaced? Pardon the pun?
Regarding the sewer, it looked okay. There were no significant issues. No.
So to your point, Craig, if the only reason we're considering that is potential for MCI may or may not increase traffic on the road, and we can consider what Lindsay had mentioned. Well, there are other two streets that they can route to. We haven't been approached by MCI on that issue yet. We could certainly take Library Street off the list.
I mean, I think if I recall, I guess before I would want to make a decision on that for sure is we had that survey done by Oliver that we had a rating, right, for each street.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing to look at again before we did that based on their camera work. Because what did we say the average repave time is? 10 to 15 years on a street, correct? If we're seeing no issues now whatsoever, why put $1 million of burden on the citizens of Pittsfield for no reason? Just rough math, if you said 12% increase on the sewer, if we did all three projects.
For this particular project, doesn't include other things that may happen that we don't know.
That's right. So I just did some rough math. That's every $285,000 as a point to the town of Pittsfield, or to the citizens. So that deletes 3 points to not do that. So we get it down under a 10% increase by not doing a street that doesn't need to be done.
Presently. Right.
Presently.
Yeah.
What council meeting was that she presented all that information?
That was last fall, I think.
No,
No.
that was a month ago, a month and a half ago.
February or March
Yeah.
sometime.
I just want to,
And then the last
should have had that information.
the last review that she did, I haven't actually seen it. She contacted us and said that Birchwood Terrace, of course, had the issues and has a blockage area, and frankly, when the water is bad, and then built at the same time, usually the sewer is too. And it's got problems. She had mentioned the Honeywell project because of the end, and then Library Street was in fair to good condition. There were no issues that were mentioned. That was a study from Vortex that we had trouble getting.
Yeah, I just think fair and good are good, no present issues. If we're gonna spend the money, let's find one.
And we can certainly
in
consider that as an
poor condition,
option.
right?
So if we took out
3%.
So
minus
you're like 8.7%.
928. So that would bring down to just under 2.5 million total. And like you said, with the rate to the sewer increase, maybe 10%, 9.5%, plus or minus. I mean, that's a ballpark figure based on the 12% for all of them. Right. If you do the ratio across, it's going to be about 8.5 to 9 to 9.5%.
8.75. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's a lot more palatable if you tell somebody that's less than 10%. I think once you get over into the double-digit number.
Yep. Got it.
So the one item I wanted to mention is that these are estimated construction costs, and construction is all over the place.
Sure.
And Annalise does provide higher figures than some engineers would. So far to date, for all the projects we've done, only Waverly Avenue Bridge, which was an underground water drilling, went over budget. All of the projects were under budget or at budget. But she did indicate a disclaimer that, construction costs are wild right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've covered it.
I'd say go just to skip library.
So you want to reconsider this for just Birchwood Terrace and Honeywell Avenue? And according to my calculations, that's $2,488,000 at 20 year.
Yes. It's 1% interest, so 20.
Well, you don't have to come up with the dollar, well, for your own knowledge, I guess.
Right, but I mean,
The resolution's not asking for that.
Yeah.
No, understood.
Yeah.
Understood, but it helps us
Yeah.
make it a bit more palatable, if you will. So let's vote on that then. So for the council, let's vote on the fact that we want to have the Birchwood Terrace and Honeywell Avenue projects in Leland Library Street. Is everyone in agreement? Jason?
Yep.
Eric?
Yeah.
Craig? Yes. Pete?
Yep.
Brent? Lindsay?
Yep.
And I also. So, based on that, Resolution 22-43 will include the motions of Birchwood Terrace and Honeywell Avenue. If there are not any, is there any other further discussion before we vote?
When would the projects begin or be completed? Is that anything we would have an idea of?
Good question.
That is a good question. The monies can be available generally when they do this after October 1st, and then we start designing the project. So next year,
Okay.
Next year,
I think
okay.
it'd be a next year project.
Because it would be a big proposal process to go forward.
Right.
I need a response by Friday.
I know. They need 6 months, they can look at it.
That's from the state government.
All right. Any other discussion, council? All right, very good. Let's vote on Resolution 22-43. All those in favor of Resolution 22-43 with the Birchwood Terrace and Honeywell Avenue projects included, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-43 will include Birchwood Terrace and Honeywell Avenue projects. Thank you all very much. Let's continue Resolution 22-44, please, Catherine.
Yes, Resolution 22-44, resolved that the town council approve the issuance of a parade permit to Warsaw Middle School for a 5K fundraiser for the track team on May 14, 2022 at 10 o'clock a.m. and waive the permit fee.
Look for a motion from council, please.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-44.
Move in second. Thank you all very much. We'll end up this meeting with a nice softball. Any questions or comments? Audience? Council? All right, very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of Resolution 22-44, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-44 passes. Move on to number 8, discussion items. There are none. We shall go on to reports. We shall start with the audience Heather, anything you'd like to bring up or discuss? Very well, thank you. Let me get on to the Zoom meeting here. Lynn, you're on Zoom meeting. Do you have anything that you'd like to bring up or discuss? Very well. Bernard, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
I was wondering what the status is of getting the Pittsfield website fixed so that the link to the burn permit is accessible.
All right, we've tested it several times and it appears to be workable.
Well, it's not.
So
Nothing has changed since the last time I discussed this.
So Lynn, I will talk with you tomorrow. I had several people test it and was told that it worked. It worked from the office, just to make sure we had others outside. I will have it tested again tomorrow and contact you.
I'd like to add to that. I've personally gone on there 3 times since our last meeting and utilized it. So it does work. You must be doing something wrong. I also would like to add that the last time I stated that the burn permit was from 5 at night to 9 in the morning, and I thought it used to be that you could burn on Saturday and Sunday. And I will say Bernard viewed the meeting we had and actually called me at home a couple nights later and clarified I was wrong, that that's the way the policy always has been, 5 at night to 9 in the morning. You can burn, except on Saturday and Sunday. If you contact your local fire department, they can waive it on Saturday and Sunday, so you can burn during the daytime, but you have to notify them. And so I wanted to thank Bernard for doing that. But the program does work, online burn permits.
Excellent information. Lynn, would that be sufficient for you if Catherine contacted you tomorrow?
As long as she holds true to her word.
I'm quite sure she will.
There's no good leaving a voicemail message at the Pittsfield Fire Department because they don't return my calls.
Well, I'm sure we can get it taken care of for you tomorrow if you can be patient until then.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Lynn, very much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not at this moment, thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing that, Lynn. Bernard, anything you'd like to...
Yeah, on her comment that nobody returned the call, I had checked that machine downstairs a dozen times in the last week or so, and there's no messages on it. So I don't know where she leaves it, but it's not on our machine.
All right. Anyway, it's past experience. We're going to try to move on forward here if you're saying that it works, and maybe it's just a matter of checking it regularly. But let's take notes and we can move on from this, okay? Anything else, Bernard?
I would like to clarify his statement. I left a message on it on March 8th. No one returned my message.
Okay. Well, so now we know that Bernard's aware of it. I'm sure we'll pay attention a little bit more so we can move on now, if we would, please. All right. With that, I shall go to the council. I will start with Mr. Hall. Anything you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, I was just curious if there was any updates on hiring open positions. I looked on the website, I didn't see any postings for available positions.
Okay, they're all on the website.
They are? Okay.
They're all listed separately. I only took them off for, I said Sunday, Monday, it was like Sunday night, really late into Monday morning. I took it off because when I went in, I wanted to put on another one
Yep,
for
okay.
one of the departments, and I found that the wrong ones were in there. Then they were embedded, and I could not get them out. It was something somebody had done. So I had to disconnect it. I set it back up on Wednesday. They're all listed there separately.
That's on the town website?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're listed separately so that Google will pick them up better than just one entry.
Okay. The other thing, I don't know if it's now or when it is, but I didn't know if we could get maybe an explanation of the expense warrant for item 44, warrant 44. I don't know when that would be, but we should have it now, later, next meeting, whatever.
Yeah, I have that, and I've gone over it with one counselor. I can go over it with all the counselors if you'd like.
Was that the $500 amount?
It's the one that has.
The gift card thing?
Yes, it has the gift card that I use to pay for the expenses that, and I can go over that, but I might as well just do it right now.
I don't know if other people have that same
No,
question
it's
or not.
okay. Some people signed the warrant, and then some, like I talked to Ron, and he was satisfied with the information. It's all in there, but it's scattered through, and there's a lot. So, because the town attorney and the town auditor have recommended we not have a credit card based upon the write-up and what is in the charter, and the fact that there's usually issues with them. The auditor recommends highly we not have one. We try to always use the purchase orders and to always use checks. However, there are some entities that do not take that. We had a problem with an employee's computer. And so that employee was very distressed, their computer didn't work, and we needed Microsoft Office. And the only way we could get what she needed was to do it online. So I had to do it. And so I used the card. We tried to use the gift card because there's no way that they can use it like next year. It gets used up and goes down to zero. So Norton was needed for 5 computers, and that was had to be online. They would not take a check, and we liked it when Norton could be on the disc that you put in, but it's not that way anymore. There were 2 nonprofits that had to be registered, and when we called several years ago, we were told it had to be online. So that was Peak and the Egg Festival, and they have allocations in the budget. So I paid that. The phone company for recreation would not take a check or cash. They required a credit card. This is very strange, but it's happened twice with them when we go to U.S. Cellular. It was an activation fee. The Sam's Club was required by recreation. They wanted to get the snack shack going, and there wasn't a lot of planning, so that could have been planned out. So we could have done a check, but they needed the money, so we gave them the card. The ads in the newspaper were very expensive. It was costing $900 to $1,200 for ads, getting no applicants whatsoever. The website wasn't really turning out people. So we talked to Chimbro, and they said that they were getting people and using Ideal. In fact, it was your brother was one of the people I talked to.
Indeed.
So he said Ideal works really well. They've been getting people. So,
You mean Indeed?
yes, okay, Indeed.
Yeah.
So that seems to be working well. However, they have to have a credit card. They would not take the gift cards. We had to use my credit card. Not that I wanted to, but we did do that so we could get some resumes. And in fact, that's how we filled several positions. So that was really good. And we did get a very qualified person. That is around $500 per month by their clicking thing in their item. We're not using it anymore. Because they just don't want to run this up. It's just too expensive, but it did work at that period of time, which was November, December, and January. And then the council requested that we have Zoom. Zoom does not take a check. Zoom has to have online payment, so I paid for Zoom. These are all expenses from last year, and then I paid for Zoom again this year. It's not on there. Municipal building supplies. We've had some incidences that have happened which we've had to buy supplies for the bathrooms and toilet bowl brushes and stuff, and it was sort of an emergency, and I don't want to go into it, so I got those. And so all of that added up to $1,740.17, mostly because of the Indeed.
So it's essentially what you're saying is that, of course, there are a lot of places that do exclusively online. If you don't have an account or a credit card, then you certainly can't pay for it.
But you're
They
using
won't
a
take
gift card?
checks.
You're buying a gift card and then
Right.
paying it down on the gift card balance?
It-
Like, how do you track that
Yeah, that
expense?
works. Yeah, you get a
Yes,
list
that'd be helpful.
under the company. You can go to the Visa gift card.
Yeah.
It will say all your items that you had.
But how is that different? Like, if you buy the gift card and then you use it to buy all these things and then you reconcile it with that list against the gift card, how is that different than a credit card? It seems like you're going doing a lot more than is necessary.
That's a clarification I wanted. Why, I know I don't want to get into the whole incredible detail of it, but why would the attorney recommend that the town not have a credit card?
It's the wording in the town charter, and I can read the information that we went over at the finance committee and.
So maybe we-
So if we made a change to the town charter, we could have a credit card account, just like any other account we have here, and not have to deal with gift cards as a,
You could,
Municipality.
if you did a change to the town charter, you want to do the whole change, because it's a very expensive process, so you would do everything at once that you have, and do a big study.
right, but it's essentially the reason is there's something in the charter that says, okay, that's fine. Okay, then that, we'll just add it to the list.
Yeah, that would be on the list.
Charters.
You would look at everything at once.
Okay.
Just to speak to your point, there's been major delays in the recreational world of having to have things for games. Like the PO process can be very slow sometimes, not always, but sometimes it can take a while to get what you need to go out and be ready for that Saturday morning baseball game, and you needed hot chocolate and they don't sell it at, where we have a card to somewhere I know, but if they don't sell it there and you need to get it, you need the employees of the town to be able to get what they need and then to reconcile that expense against the budget. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like what a lot of other government entities and nonprofits that I've worked in do, so it seems like it would streamline things a little bit.
So two things. One, the gift card is better to use even though you have to do the reconciling process because you get more details, but it runs out. So they can't, if you're going into an entity like Zoom, let's say we didn't want Zoom next year, well, they can just go in and charge you. You know, some of these places will charge you and you'll end up with costs that you don't want. So the gift card runs out and you're safe. So if they'll take the gift card, that's much better than using somebody's credit card. In
I
terms
think
of
living in a world,
Be the town's
living in a
credit
world
card.
of not having credit is crazy to me. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yes.
Well, like she said, it's a charter.
it's a charge.
Right, but
So we changed the charter.
I agree with that, but I'm not going to back up the statement with it makes sense to use a gift card over a credit card.
right, correct. I
Like,
agree with
that's-
that.
It does not make sense to me.
It's
Like,
difficult from a managerial perspective.
No one agrees that the gift card is the best way to go.
Okay.
However, for the town attorney,
It's a
they
safe-
highly recommend that we do not get a credit card because of something in the charter. So we change the charter so that we can do it like a big.
I don't want the philosophy of the town to be that it's better to use a gift card than a credit card.
That's why I raise this question, because I don't agree with it. No one really does, but apparently that's the only or best way or the workable way
It's the
that it gets
safest way
through.
for the town, but there
Is
is
it the
very,
town attorney or is it the auditor?
it's both of them, basically. It's the wording in the town charter. I
Yeah,
can read it to you and go
review
over the
it.
legal opinion, but.
I was
it's-
so good with that part of it until you started saying that it's safer to use the gift card. Then you started to lose me there. And then that's more of an opinion, not necessarily the
Well, the term gift card, I know exactly what she means. You buy a credit
I
card.
get it.
It's like a debit card.
But it has an end to it.
Yeah.
It's like we
Right.
can't manage money, so let's put $500.
But the other thing you were saying,
Yeah.
Catherine, and I can probably paraphrase, because I have, accounts that automatically bill against my cards and my accounts. So if it's not watched, it'll be charged to it. However, I'm not gonna buy into that, because if we have accounts that aren't being watched to that degree, then shame on us for not watching them, and shame on us for having that account. But that's another discussion for another day.
Right, but these are the only items that we use this for, which aren't many. If you consider how many checks we issue in a year, I mean, it's astronomical. The amount of other vendors and ones that will address items. So every year this is the 20th year, I get reimbursed. It's not something I want to do, but it works under the charter and it protects the town and everyone.
Jason?
Yeah, just for my clarification. So how come we would pay mileage for you to deliver items to Peak? Peak isn't associated with anything to do with the town, right?
Peak is the town's 501c3 economic development engine, so.
Right, but you don't work for Peak,
I'm the treasurer of Peak. By
but by choice, not.
no, I was told I had to be because the town has the Peak money.
Right, but that's your choice. Like, why would we spend taxpayer money for you to go deliver something to a nonprofit organization that
but it's not.
It's not part of your
It's not
town
separate.
manager's.
When I came, I was told I had to be the treasurer of Peak, which I have been since like a week after I arrived. Because Peak is not separate from the town. It's a 501c entity that is the town's economic development engine. Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation. It had owned several buildings in town that were given to it by the town council. And so those buildings were given to Peak, and Peak sold them for the town because it is a confidential entity. You don't have to go through all these town approvals, and it was just viewed as the economic engine for the town of Pittsfield. I mean, I don't have to get mileage. I was instructed to submit my mileage by the town council several
Okay.
years in a row because for a while I didn't.
No, and I agree you should. I just didn't know about that particular.
Okay. I understand.
Expense.
It is an entity that was created by the town to report to the town. It has counselors on it.
So would those monies go into from the Peaks treasury accounts that you'd be reimbursed from because it's a service provided to them?
Yes, we have.
But it has to be approved through the town council.
Yes,
even
we
though-
actually have a due to, due from that will get reimbursed. It had some other expenditures that took place last year, not to me, but through the town budget, because the monies are all here.
Right, it's all
I'm the
kept in one,
treasurer
yeah.
of the town, so I'm the treasurer of Peak. So we have the video, for example. We collect up all the expenses and then get reimbursed every several years.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then you said I could come in on like Thursday to see.
Yeah, or I brought it down with me.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, we can catch up after. Awesome. That's it. And congratulations, Lindsay. Welcome.
What's that, Jason?
That's it. Yep. Thanks.
All right. Eric, anything?
No report.
Okay. Craig?
I'll echo the comments to congratulate Lindsay, welcome her. I would ask that in the time that it's going to take for us to look into and potentially change that charter, right, that if we do have to do business as we have been, purchasing a prepaid Visa card, what have you, that those, just for transparency's sake, right, and the lack of questions, because anytime there's a question, there can be a feeling of accusation. We don't want that. We want transparency. So just simply put those explanations in a detailed tracking with right in our warrant, if you could. And then that way we don't have these questions up until the time that we make those changes.
So I did put a copy of the detailed report that is from the prepaid card in there.
Just that full explanation that you brought to me tonight would have been perfect. If that was in there, that would have eliminated a lot of questions that we've had over the last 2 weeks. So, and that speeds up your payment process, right? For the entire warrant, because it's not just that. And we have other vendors that expect timely payment. We want to make sure that's taken care of. So if we could just add that in there, the full detail, and that would be.
So I only do this once a year to make it easier. So you won't see it for quite some time.
I mean, I don't think that's fair to you, is it?
No,
Would that be done?
It's easier. It's done once. The auditor always pulls it out, so rather than have 5 or 6 of them pulled out, he pulls out one big one. It saves time
Okay.
for everyone. It's not a problem.
Okay. That's it for me.
I'll second. All right. Let's go to Lindsay. If you'd like to bring that, please.
How much is a parade permit? Just curious.
I believe it's $25.
Okay, I'm just joking. I'm gonna get one for me and I'm gonna put it down Main Street. Just kidding.
Yeah, no,
That's before council also.
That's right. You can have to have it for any approved parades. No, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the group. I will save questions I have after my orientation with Catherine tomorrow night. We'll go through all the nitty-gritty details and I'll wait and ask you guys more questions in a couple weeks. Thank you.
All right, very good. Brent?
No comment.
All set. And then we'll end up with the deputy mayor, Peter. All set to go, huh?
All set.
All right, good. Just a couple things I want to kind of touch upon. First of all, Lindsay, welcome. Congratulations. Glad to have you here, and I'm really happy to see us at full strength, finally. So, good. I appreciate the process. And I know it's kind of off-season type of thing. There's a lot of work to do it. So, greatly appreciate it. Welcome aboard. And like to see the new people here. That's fantastic. So good to see you here. So another comment I'd like to say, SAD 53, the public hearing, Thursday, May 19th. I've always been the person to say I'd like to see this place filled all the time. It doesn't have to be about any kind of, stress or strife or any confrontation that's going on in town. Just everybody take a part in the democratic process. So Thursday, May 19th, SAD 53 public hearing. The vote will be Tuesday, June 14th, another off-season vote. So everyone watching in TV land, please put that on your calendars. A couple quick questions for clarification, please, Catherine. A few meetings ago, we had RJD come on board and give us a quick presentation. He said he was going to share potentially a reassessment proposal, a blank. Did you get something from him on that?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, very good. Good, I'll just take that off my list, and thank you for that. Just one more thing I want to talk about. The last meeting we had the presentation by Dale Dowdy and Jared Gillette from the DOT about the Main Street initiative, the whole work that's going on here. So we're kind of floundering as what type of committee we wanted to get together to kind of get an idea. How do we define what we want for our Main Street project? I'm kind of getting the feeling, because I don't have a whole lot myself, that we don't have a lot of feedback from you guys yet. So I want to think about this. So what I would ask you, and I'll have some ideas and notes myself, if you could come up with something, send me a quick email or drop me a note or give me a call. Just come up with a couple ideas. Let's start with the size of the committee. Do we want a dozen people? Do we want 100 people? Do we want just a couple people? Who will that be? Councilors, citizens, or councilors, citizens, and business owners? So just give me a little feedback. Let's get the ball rolling on this, because it's going to be a big project, and it's a excellent opportunity, because from what the gentleman from the state DOT said, this is not something that happens all the time. It's something that they realize that there are towns in the state that need to have a character, need to have an identity, and we have an awesome opportunity right now. So I would ask if you all could please, before the next meeting, send me something. You all have my email. Just a couple ideas, even if it's just a couple ideas. Size of the committee. Let's start with that. Let's work on the committee on that, and we can get the ball rolling from there.
And you said stakeholders? You said stakeholders, like who would be what would comprise?
Just an idea on the committee. I don't want it to be just the councilors. I like to have, the citizens or business owners or any other interested party. Or maybe, department heads of the town. I don't know. I just want to kind of throw that idea out. So that's really all I have. Thank you all very much once again, and welcome aboard. And I look forward to great things. And with that, I look for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you all very much. Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought.
We keep pushing up water and sewer, you'll be trying to press in here. Somebody will be doing something good. So, water and sewer, electricity?
I replaced my well pump after like 3 years, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's Minnesota.
Didn't feel like it at the time.